Hello and welcome to the first round of the Group 3 Season 12 AM. I mean, I'm a bit late on this, but shush, we'll go with it. And there's the first track that we will be doing is at Catalunya. We've got the sprint race, which will set the grid for the feature, which is the reverse of the sprint. Here we are on the grid for the sprint race here at Catalunya. Race 1, round 1, Hunty on the front row with Mikey. It's lights out and away we go, and it's been a difficult start for the Porsche as usual. They asked about Foxy there getting a good start. Hunty as well getting away clean. Foxy having to rag the car toward the outside to avoid hitting Mikey, who drops back down to 4th place because of how bad that Porsche is off the start into turn 1. Everyone slow down, I think, and there's a bit of contact in the background there. I think that's Thomas, Robert and Will coming together slightly. Thomas dropping all the way back with Robert as well then. So there is now Hunty still continues to lead as Mikey's managed to get back up into second. Side by side though is Foxy and Old Machines as they head through turn 3 and on toward turn 4 now then. So Old Machine pulled to the inside. He does try and get down the inside. It's not quite enough. I think there's a bit of contact there. It almost spins Foxy out, and M3 guys swoop through to take the position there, and he takes that P4 positioning. And I think there's Will Miller in the background in his red and white Audi, forcing his way down the inside there on one of the KSR drivers. It's VT as Will moves up into P6 in the background, but Foxy in 3rd place at the moment. The top 3 remains the same from the qualifying, and now Mikey's going to be going after Hunty to see if he can take the lead of this 7-lap sprint race then. And so here's the order so far. We've got Hunty leads, Mikey 2nd, 3rd place Foxy 4th, and 3 guy 5th place is Old Machines at the moment, and in 6th Will. 7th is VT and 8th is Panyig as we just cut to him. 3 guy who's following him behind. I think there's the Audi of Will all over the back of Old Machines, trying to get that position from him now to grab into that top 5, but he's not quite close enough to it there. You need to really make sure you're on it, because these sprint races can get really tight really quickly, so any mistake and you can lose a lot of positions. And with the limited time, these races are about 10 minutes, the limited time of these races, you can't recover from a mistake. So here's Will then under pressure from the Aston Martin Vantage of VT in the slipstream. As we cut now to Old's Machine, who is just in behind us. VT very close to the back of Will, but is he close enough to make a move into the first corner? Is he going to go for it? No, he's not quite, no. And holds back on that one, doesn't quite choose to go for the overtake. So Will remains in that 6th place on to the 2nd lap. We've got VT, we've got very close now. Old's Machines all over the back of M3 guy, trying to stay close enough to go for the move. Hunty's done a good job so far of holding out the lead on the opening lap now as they start to split themselves apart a bit. I think hugging the inside there was Panyig, lost a bit of time, and Emperor's getting very close to the back of Robbo, but they've managed to all stay in their positions. Old Machine's getting closer at turn 5 onto the back of M3 guy. Who is he quite close enough to go for any sort of move on anyone? No, not quite yet, but Mikey trying to hassle the back of Hunty for the lead of this race. They're heading to turn 9. It's over the hill at Kamsa. Over the top of the hill, across the curb they go. Will in the slipstream of Old Machines, not out. Is he quick enough in the straight? Has he got the legs to try and jump in? In fact, again, 3 guy was going for the move on Foxy, but ultimately didn't get that quite done for P3. Not quite enough for that one. There is one of the KSR guys. It is VT serving, I think, a penalty there. As now we've got these 3 at the back in the form of Robbo, Emperor and Thomas at the back of the field so far. So we've got 2 KSRs. I think Will's gone off. Will had a mistake there in the chicane. That's lost him a lot of time now. And Will dropping all the way down to that 8th position. We've got 3 guy on the back of Foxy for P3. Is it going to be enough for M3 guys to get into the top 3 to try and go for a podium here in this AM race? For the sprint, he pulls to the inside. Is he going to go for it under braking down the inside into turn 1? He's gone for it. He's held his car there on the inside, and he's gotten through. And 3 guy getting ahead of Foxy and into 3rd. Places M3 guy now as Will's on the Panyig behind him. And in fact there is Robbo trying to catch up to these 2, and he's not too far off in case it all goes wrong between Will and Panyig. Or Will and VT, sorry, as VT tries to hold the inside and he's not quite close enough, and they've now got really close, and Robbo's on the outside, and is Robbo going to look for a move on VT, as Emperor's looking feisty in the background as well. It's wondering if any of these are going to end up having an accident. We've got the Aston Martin DBR9 of Robbo against the Aston Martin Vantage of VT. So which one of the two Aston Martins is going to be quicker? At the moment it looks like VT's just holding out, and then there's the Porsche of Emperor just in the background waiting to look for that opportunity to overtake. A key overtake spot will be this on the straight, heading down into turn 10, hard on the brakes there, as we see Foxy trying to catch up to M3 guy to stay close enough to him to be able to try and make a move, as Robbo looks to try and take a wider entry that almost allows Emperor to close in actually, but not quite enough to make a move from Emperor there on lap 3 of 7. Robbo down in 9th still looking to get as high as they can. Now wherever they finish in this race, he'll determine the grid for the feature, as the feature is going to be a full reverse grid rolling start affair. So as Robbo lands on top of the curve, and I think Emperor going across the track there and had to slow down to try and avoid gaining any advantage from it, does actually losing the position to Thomas as well now. So Thomas moves up into P10. We've got Robbo in the slipstream of VT, but is he going to be gaining enough on the straight to go for the move into turn 1? I don't think he is there. He's very close to the back, but he's not pulling out until very late. Pulls back, but is he going to be dive enough on the brakes? And he's not quite brave on the brakes to go down the inside, and so stays in that 9th place for now, biding his time and waiting for an opportunity where he can get even closer to the back of VT. Mikey in P2 though, just about staying ahead of M3 guy and Foxy, with Old's machines just watching on in the background. If anything happens, he'll be wanting to capitalise, as VT and Robbo still very close. These two Aston Martin drivers, but in different cars, very close to each other into turn 5, and we'll see if Robbo been able to get the better run on him out of the turn 5. It's an okay overtake, so it's turn 5 and get the run out of turn 4, but not so much on the exit here. So we'll see if Robbo's close enough to go for the move into turn 10, but I don't think he is. Be very close, but I think, yeah, VT's looks to have pulled out the gap enough there, as Foxy getting very close to the back of M3 guy, and so M3 guy in P3 now with Foxy in P4, and on machines in P5 in the background between these two. But Foxy getting very close to M3 guy in the fight for the final podium spot. Meanwhile, Robbo's lost a little bit of time to VT in this final sector so far. So here we go, we've got M3 guy who's trying to defend that third. He's managed by a bit of a gap, but now it's a battle of who's got the straight line speed. Is it Foxy's Vantage, or will it be M3 guy's Audi? In fact, speaking of Vantages, we've got VT and Robbo going nearly close to each other. Robbo looks a lot closer going onto the straight this time. He's in the slipstream, but is it going to be enough to pull out by the end into the braking zone? But the first corner he pulls out now, and is he far enough alongside to get the inside into turn 1? Hard on the brakes for the first corner, and I think Robbo's just sticking his nose in there, but VT's fighting back on the outside, and VT still side by side. He's just managed to keep his nose there, but Robbo gets through into turn 3, not able to continue fighting, and Robbo gains the position and up its way. Now he goes charging after Will Miller in 7th. And VT very close, in fact, on the back of PJ Robbo 28. He doesn't quite get it, as Panyig is now defending from Will there. Meanwhile, Foxy and M3 guys splits up slightly, as Foxy lost a little bit of time thus far as we come rapidly toward the end of this first sprint race of the season. This is the first opening round, as Will Miller is just in behind Panyig now as they rise up the hill and down now around Campser and onto the back right, the second longest straight on the track, and a key overtake spot into turn 10, but is Will close enough? He darts to the inside after trying to dummy Panyig to the outside, and he gets his car alongside, and does he get the power on the acceleration coming up the hill again? And it's not quite enough for the Audi. He's now sticking it on the outside as he's going to try and hold the outside there, around the outside of Panyig, and just defending his position there, just ahead of Will Miller, and a good job from him. And so now Will Miller and the Audi versus the Supra of Panyig. Who is going to win this battle on the straight? A lot of tyre screeching as they go through that final corner, and I think Panyig on the grass or the gravel's going to slow his run onto that main straight a bit. So Will Miller in the slipstream has got a better run for not touching the gravel coming onto the main straight. Is he going to be close enough to make a move? P6, Panyig ghosting. He's having a bit of a penalty for running slightly wide, but it's not quite enough for Panyig to lose the position. Will Miller not quite getting ahead onto the penultimate lap of this racing. Will Miller going down the inside into turn 3, down the inside, and is it going to be enough for Will to squeeze his way through into turn 3? Not a usual overtaking spot, but Panic fights back on the outside. Will not giving Panic too much space on that outside, but he holds the inside for turn 4 and he gets through. And into 6th place goes Will Miller. Panic dropping out behind him down into 7th place. Meanwhile, Foxy has dropped back a lot into the clutches of Olds Machines, who runs in P5 and is looking to get even further up the grid. We'll see how Austrian Machines, if he's able to get close enough to Foxy to make the overtake on him, as the American of Olds Machines. Is he close enough? He's in the slipstream, he's in his favourite Jag against Foxy's Aston Martin. He's not quite close enough just yet, and in fact Will Miller is managing to just hold out on Panic. Hunty is doing a fantastic job at the moment of leading this race from start to finish so far, and in fact now we've got the two DBR9s of Rob and Thomas together in 8th and 9th, but Will's pulled out a gap after he got ahead of Panic, and so Will in P6 has pulled out ahead of Panic, and that's crucial for him. Now then, will it be enough for Panic? Will he be able to close in on Will again to try and get back past him? I mean, he's holding that penalty for a bit, which is against the ISRL rules. You're supposed to remove your penalty on the nearest straight. Goes on to the final, but Foxy trying to pull away from Oldersheed so as to not lose that 4th place. Because at the moment, like I say, the sprint race is setting the grid for the feature as Will gives a bit of a weave to try and break the slipstream, I think, on Panic. But whatever the grid is, whatever the finishing order of the sprint race, if you flip it around until first starts last of the feature race and so on, it's a full grid reverse feature race, which makes it very interesting to see if the faster drivers can make their way through the field without losing too much time in the traffic. But Rob in 8th place at the moment, with Thomas in P9. And as we cut up, we've got Will Mill. In fact, we've got Foxy and Olds Machines getting very close again. So Olds Machines really looks to gain on Foxy on this part of the track, but starts to lose it as the rest of the lap goes on. So it'll be interesting to see if Olds Machines can stay close enough to go for a move. It is the final lap, so with every second he's losing an opportunity to get ahead here. And in fact, Gr.28's fallen into the clutches of his fellow DBR9 driver Thomas Gomez. But at the moment, Olds Machines is trying to stay as close as possible to Foxy. He needs to try and get a move on done, but he doesn't want to get too desperate and ruin it for everyone and drop back. So is he going to go for the move? No, he's not. And I think that was logically his last decent chance of an overtake, unlike Foxy makes a colossal mistake in this final sector now. So Foxy knows this. He just needs to drive Norman, make the finish. But heading into the final couple of corners now at the end of this sprint race, and what a sprint race it's been. Dramatic racing action, and to cross around the final corner to win the first round of the season, which, I mean, would you expect anything less from an A-rated driver such as himself? It's Anthony Hunt that wins the sprint race. Mikey 2nd, 3rd place. A great race from M3 guy. Foxy finishes 4th, 5th place Olds Machine. 6th place will be Will Miller. 7th it looks like it's going to be Panyig, with 8th place being BJ Roberts 28. If you can just edge out Thomas to the line, and it is going to be Robbo 8th, Thomas 9th, VT 10th, and down bringing up the rear is Emperor in the 11th and last place. So here we are then, the ISRL Gr.3 Season 12 AM feature race, with Emperor finishing last. He'll start on pole as the rolling start drives our drivers onto the main straight. And as Emperor crosses the line, the race will start. 21 laps are ahead of the drivers now for the feature race. Drivers must use both soft and medium tyres at some point in this race. And it's go, go, go as Emperor gets away, but a bit of a dodgy start from Emperor. He's immediately got VT in the slipstream trying to gain into turn 1. Will we see any position changes on the main straight? We've got VT pulling to the inside on Emperor, and we've got Olds Machines trying to pull to the inside. Will and Olds Machines gets that place, and I think Emperor loses the lead immediately as VT gets ahead, and in fact Thomas almost looking to gain the position there, and BJ28 waiting in the wings to try and capitalise on Thomas, and in fact Thomas is looking to drive around the outside of Emperor there at turn 3, but he's not quite got the speed to get around him there. And now as Robbo's going inside in the slipstream, and they all file into a line heading into turn 4 as VT takes an early lead in this race. With Emperor in 2nd, still Thomas into 3rd place. 4th place will be Robbo's Mikey's already dropped a long way down to the back, so he's unfortunate for him as Robbo trying to get in. In fact, Will and Olds Machines going side by side coming out of in towards turn 6. That's not quite enough. And in fact, Robbo to the inside is going very slow. And almost holding up Panyig slightly there as that all gets all clustered. And now we've got Thomas and then Robbo and then Panyig and then Ultra Machines and Will Miller all following one another, trying to gain these early positions in this race. Will looking to get all over the back of Ultra Machines, and in fact there goes Panyig pulling to the inside but then pulls back into the slipstream as he pulled out too late. And I think Ultra Machines, and in fact they're going 3 wide. Ultra Machine trying to capitalise on a double overtake and manages to get ahead of Panyig and staying ahead of Will. In fact, Panyig looking like he might be about to lose the position to Will there as they head round into this final section, and I think Ultra Machine does get ahead. And now can Will get ahead of Panyig, and he goes to the inside. Oh, what a move from Will, trying to muscle his way through and into P6 now. So, very difficult to start as M3 loses it, and loses it on the chicane. And that spins him around, and Humpty from the back of the grid up into 9th place now, trying to slowly make his way through the field to win, to aim as high as he can. Now Thomas is all over the back of Emperor. Thomas pulls to the inside of Emperor, and is he going to be Goiter on the brakes? He goes to the inside, darts down the inside, and it's just, is it enough to get ahead there? No, not quite. He's going to hold it on the exit. It gets a better exit out of turn 2 and gets him just as they arrive into turn 3, throwing Emperor into the clutch of Robbo now. And we'll see if these two can change positions. Robbo's able to find his way past Emperor as quickly as possible. He's holding the inside for turn 4. Down the inside he goes into turn 4, and he does he just about get ahead, and he does, and Robbo gets up into 3rd place now. Emperor losing out from pole into 4th in these first few laps. So with Old Machines in 5th place now, he's got Will Miller behind him, and in 7th is Panyig. So what can Robbo do on the back of Thomas? Can Thomas make headway on VT to try and take the lead of this race? He's no longer leading now, but you need to be leading at the end of 21 laps, and that's going to be the challenge here, as Will looks to try and get very close to the back of Old Machines for 5th place. And is he going to be quite close enough for the Brit to get ahead of the American? No, not quite there anyways. Thomas running slightly wide across the curve out at turn 10, and no positions changing at the moment. But Panyig going to be very disappointed with that, as he dropped a long way down early on in the start of this race. So it will be interesting to see if Panyig can recover, as Will runs a slight bit too wide, but he's managed to keep just about on the track there now. And Will getting a bit slidey as well, coming out onto the penultimate corner, and that's left him very much at vulnerability to Panyig, who on the straight, is he going to try and catch up in at the slipstream to pull ahead? And in fact someone's moving out, and it's Old Machine getting ahead of Emperor. This side by side at the end to turn 1, but is Old Machine going to get him under braking? Thomas as well looking to try and make a move on VT, not quite enough. And if that Old Machine doesn't, in fact Will pretty much getting pushed off the track there by Panyig, fights back, holds 7th, and then there's contact between Will and Foxy. So Will almost got pushed off the track there by Panyig. I think he did get slightly pushed off by Panyig when Panyig was defending the first corner, and now Will drops behind Foxy as well. So not ideal. An attack turned into losing a position there from Will, and now Thomas still trying to get through. And in fact Embru's lost the position now to Old Machines, so Old Machines looking to try and continue to fight his way forward and move up the field as much as he can. Thomas getting very close to the back for VT there, and Robbo's not too far off as well, so the top 3 are all very close to him. The top 5 are quite close together, as Old Machine looks to now decreasing that gap on BJ Robbo 28 for a spot in the podium. Is it going to be enough though for him? Will be close enough into this corner, turn 10 on the braking? No, not quite at once. Not quite close enough to make the overtake, although VT runs a bit deep, and that does give Thomas an opportunity, but unable to capitalise on it. Thomas not quite taking the lead there. And now Thomas trying to catch up to VT, trying to stay close to VT to maybe get him on the straight, as the 3 Aston Martins are at the top of the field. As Old Machine looks to go down the inside, he makes contact with Thomas, and Robbo I think forced to cut the chicane slightly there to avoid any bigger contact, and a misjudgment there from Old Machine left him now vulnerable to Emperor and Panyig. Panyig trying to recover from a mistake earlier on, and now Panyig trying to come to the inside. Isn't quite close enough. No, not on Emperor just yet, but he's back into the slipstream. Is anyone going to pull out to make a move over the one long conga line? You've got Panyig coming down the inside, but not quite close enough, and Foxy actually now tries to look to the inside of Panyig, but again not quite close enough. There's Humpty in the BMW at the back door far. VT still managing to do a fantastic job at the moment of defending against the entire field, As now Robbo's got Wales Machine looking to the inside for turn 4, but not quite close enough. And I think Foxy trying to get ahead of Emperor. Foxy gets ahead of Emperor there, but is Emperor going to fight back around the outside of turn 4? Bit of grass being kicked up by Foxy. And I think Will Miller's going to try and get in on the act to try and get around the outside of Emperor, as he tries to also, as M3 guys on the inside. I think M3 guys trying to get through, and in fact Emperor losing the position to Will, and not quite to M3 guy. In fact he does go through, and M3 guy then Hunt gets through, and Ultra Machine gone. And I think contact there as he had him spinning across the grass at turn 6 and off the track and into the gravel, and that's a disaster from Ultra Machine, who was slowly making his way up through the field. VT leading this race still. Thomas in second, with Robbo very close in fact in third. Panya getting down the inside on Foxy for P4, and he does manage to defend that 4th place against Foxy. Robbo getting a bit slidey there coming out of turn 10, and now I think Will drop back actually down the order. I think there's been a mistake with Will Miller. He drops all the way down to 8th place. Frank drops down to 9th place as Foxy's down in 8th now. So yeah, Will's dropped down to 9th and Foxy in 8th. So I wonder if there's been some sort of incident between the two of them. But it's very close now between the top 4. In fact, so it goes VT, Thomas, Robbo, Panyig, and then it's 3 guys sealing out the top 5. But he's got a bit of work to go to get onto the back of this top 4 train. There's a goal fast and Martin of Video over 28 looking to try and attack on Thomas, who pulls to the inside. Thomas going down the inside, is he not quite close enough? Not quite enough there for Thomas to get through. Robbo in third, 4th place, Panyig, and it's not quite enough there just yet, as now there is driver trying to go around the outside. In fact, there's Hunty and M3 guy. Hunty looking to get around the outside of M3 guy, but he hasn't quite gone down. No, to Emperor, sorry. Emperor and Hunty going side by side coming out of turn 3, and M2 gets through and ahead of the position, and Panyig and Robbo almost having an incident, and it looks like they just recovered from one, as Robbo holding that 3rd place, but let's create a bit of breathing space between Thomas and Robbo. Thomas almost looked like he died to the inside of turn 5 there to try and make the overtake, but didn't quite do it in the end. So here we go then. Is it going to be enough for Thomas? Is he going to be able to stay quite close enough to try and get past VT? He's still really harassing the back of VT, who's been leading since he took the lead very early on at the start on lap 1, away from Emperor, who had the pole position for this race. Robbo in P3, in 4th place is Panyig, but is it quite close enough? Is Panyig going to go for a move? He's pulled to the outside. I think he's braked late, and he's hit someone. He's hit Thomas. Thomas goes off slightly. He's gone off quite a bit, and Thomas, who is trying to hassle the back of VT, has been punted off by Panyig, who has braked it appropriately and dropping himself down into 5th place. And in fault, M3 guys splitting the 2 now, and that has thrown Thomas's chance at a race win a long way down for now. In fact, no, he's only managed to come back in 3rd, but now he's got M3 guy looking to try and get down his inside. M3 guy does get down the inside, and there's cars absolutely everywhere. In fact, there's so many cars. M3 guy on the outside, just about holding on to 3rd. Panyig with M3 guy, Thomas, Panyig, Hunty, and Emperor all so close to each other. And now in the slipstream, there's 5 cars all very close to each other, and it's going to be a recipe for disaster as they all get in the slipstream, apart from Thomas trying to find a space in that Conga train. Panyig into 4th, pulls to the inside to try and get down the inside of M3 guy. He's quite enough, no, not just yet. Thomas trying to hold that inside from Hunty, and I think Hunty trying to get through on Thomas there, and he does manage to slide through, and he does get ahead, and Thomas holding the position. In fact, now Hunty losing the place to Emperor as he got opened up there with the moving Emperor. Clever driving, managed to get himself up into P6. Foxy pulls to the inside in the slipstream of Emperor, but he's not quite close enough for a move as Hunty still on that outside, and that's leaving him vulnerable to Foxy for as long as he's there. Now then, Emperor still defending from these two quite nicely as Thomas dropped down into 5th place for the moment. Foxy on at the back of Hunty, very close to him as M3 guy Panyig, and then Thomas, Emperor, Hunty and Foxy are very close to each other, and I think Foxy almost looking for a move there as they go up the hill. Foxy on the outside, but not quite close enough to back in as they head into turn 9. Thomas over the top of the hill leads in this group of cars, but will he be leading this group of cars at the end as Will Miller joins the back of the train? Now Thomas approaches the braking zone, but no one's brave enough to go for the move on the braking. In fact, there's a bit of contact between Emperor and Thomas. Not as extravagant as the incident with Panyig and Thomas, but it does allow Thomas to gain away as Hunty and Foxy, and maybe even Will gets ahead of Emperor. Not quite Will. Will gets shoved out a little bit by Emperor, but Will cuts back and looks to get the run on the inside of Emperor. Meanwhile, Robbo's still hassling the back of VT, and has he managed to get the run on VT here to try and take the lead of this race. Has he got it what it takes to lead this feature race? He's in the slipstream in the Aston Martin DBR9. He's closing in on the vantage, I think, as Will Miller is the first driver to pit in. All the drivers have to use both medium and soft tyre compound in this race. Robber not quite on the back of VT, not quite close enough to go for the overtake. As in through guy in third place, Panic fourth, and then we've got Hunty and Foxy still battling each other hard. Here as we're a third of the way through race now, with Hunty in P6, P7 is Foxy. Is Thomas about to lose the position there to Hunty? And I think he does, as Hunty gets through and ahead and into fifth place almost. Yeah, he gets down the inside into turn 4 and manages to take the fifth place position, but Thomas fights back and tries to get a better run out. Turn 4 on the exit, and they're side by side still, and now Thomas on the outside, Hunty on the inside. Is he going to be good enough as Emperor's round? And Emperor around and around he went, and he's facing the wrong way, manages to get his way back round again, and now three guys very close to the back of these top two. Top three have pulled away a slight bit, with Panyig in fourth again after everything happened between him and Thomas. Is it close enough for Robbo to get a move on VT, or is it close enough for M3 guy to get ahead? Robbo pulls to the inside, VT moves to the inside to defend, but Robbo was committed to taking the lead, and he made the position work. I think he had a bit of a misshift coming up out of it, and then M3 guy manages to capitalise on it all to take the lead, and a double overtake from them both there. So now as Robbo drops down to second again, VT dropping 2 places, VT getting down the inside on Robbo, but Robbo defends it on the outside, cuts to the inside still, and is he just about quite close enough there? Yes he is, and he holds that second place as the two KSR drivers go in, with Panyig and VT going in. Unti moving up into third place now from the back of the field, so the VT, Panyig and Will are the only drivers who have made a pit stop in this race thus far. Foxy on the back of Thomas pulls to the inside, heading into the braking zone. Thomas versus Foxy. Foxy got what it takes to grab P4. Yes, he does down the inside. And it looks like Thomas is fighting back actually into turn 2, and he is. But Foxy manages to get the move done, and Foxy takes 4th position. And so Foxy now up into P4, with Thomas dropping back into 5th. So yeah, Foxy into P4, and Thomas dropping down to 5th position now. He's got old machines behind him, his fellow American compatriot, but he's not. Is he going to be able to defend, as Thomas has just started dropping back after his incident with Panyig? So it seems like it's just caused him to just struggle a bit with the car and to get to grip with his track a little. In the middle sector we go then. Foxy 4th still, just about edging out Thomas, who's edging out Old Machines. We've got the 2 KSR who's quite down for 10th, and Will in 8th place. So on lap 8 here, M3 guy leads the race as Thomas picks up a penalty, and that's going to end his battle with Old Machines, because he's going to have to slow down. Old Machines get down the inside into turn 10, makes the move stick. So M3 guy leading the race then. Robbo in second, who's got Hunty all over the back of him for company. So Hunty all over the back of Robbo for keeping lead for company now, as it will see if they make a move into the pit lane down the inside into the pits. And free guy Robbo, Hunty's coming in as well. He's Foxy, and Foxy's in. Old Machine staying out for another lap. Thomas is in. Will, is he going to be? Will's already made a pit stop, sorry, and he's already come out pit stop ahead of Emperor. So Emperor, who hasn't pitted, has been overtaken on track now by Will, who has. Will going on, and has gone on to another set them, has gone on to a set of mediums, and so Will looks like he might just about take the lead. Actually, Old Machine, sorry, taking the lead of this race so far, with Will Miller moving up into second and Emperor into third, as we're all still sat in the pits, and then VT and Panyig are coming out, and three guys, sorry, gets out just behind Emperor, but Panyig gets out of Foxy. Does he get out ahead of Hunty and Robbo? VT gets out ahead of Hunty and Robbo, but Panyig not so much. And so Panyig losing the position to Hunty and losing the position to Robbo in the pit lane. In the pit stop, so Hunty moves up into 7th place now, but with M3 guy who's pitted, Emperor who hasn't, and Old Machine who hasn't, will pitted much earlier than anyone else. It will be interesting to see what will happen at the end of all the pit stops then. VT 5th place, 6th place Robbo, 7th Hunty, and 8th place is Panyig. And will any of these be able to try and gain a position or not? We'll see if Hunty can get any closer to Robbo. Hunty is the AM Championship leader after he won the sprint race, but we've got the feature race to go, and then we'll see what the points tables are at the end of the first round as Hunty pulls to the outside of Robbo. Robbo staying glued to that middle of the track, not so much aggressively on the inside, not too aggressive, not on the outside, leaving him vulnerable, and that manages to hold the position there against Hunty. And so Robbo sticks in P6 as Olds Machine pits in from the race lead. Will Miller will be moving into a net first place, and 3 Guy in will be moving up into second as well as Old Machines. It'll be interesting to see how far he drops down the field. Emperor not pitted as well, but I think Emperor does go into the pit lane. Robbo moving up in a 4th place, staying ahead of Hunty in 5th. So Hunty in the slipstream now on Robbo. The BMW versus the Aston Martin. Robbo stays on the inside almost. In fact, Hunty pulls further to the inside, and with Olds Machine coming out of the pits, this is going to be absolutely chaos. And Robbo just about stays ahead of Olds Machine there and Hunty. So I think with Olds Machine coming out of the pits, Hunty couldn't go to the inside because that would just mean Hunty'd hit the back of Olds Machine. So he really made that awkward for those 2 cars as he came out the pits. And so Olds Machine did kind of save Robbo there, keeping it Hunty, but immediately goes down the inside of Robbo with fresher tyres, and Hunty sticks his nose down the inside as well. Hunty gets through on Robbo, now looks to try and get ahead of Olds Machine, tries to go around the outside into the turn 5 on the outside. Is it enough? Not quite, and Olds Machine holds P4 against Anthony Hunt. So then, Hunty, 5th place, 4th place is Olds Machine, and in 6th place Robert Panyig down in 7th place now. He seems to have struggled slightly as he's dropped back a bit, but with Will leading this race now on lap 10, with all the drivers now making their first have made their first pit stops. These are the positions they will run in for this stint. Hunty is going to be close to Olds Machine, but not quite close enough to make the move. Robbo as well in P6, and in P7 is Panyig, but did not want close to make anything interesting as Hunty in 5th, all over the back of Olds Machines, but he's just not really been given any corners to overtake in this final sector. Isn't the best for overtaking. His best shot is probably turn 1 if he can stay closer enough, get the run onto the main straight. He's quite close there, and is he going to get that run onto the main straight for Hunty to get ahead of Olds Machines? There's Panyig in P7 on the back of BJ128, but Robbo looks down at the moment, not feeling the need to go defensive just yet. Does he pull to the inside to defend us? Panyig goes to the inside to attack. Hunty staying in 5th, but no, Robbo and Panyig remain in their positions, with Foxy just in behind in 8th. In fact, Foxy's looking to try and go around the outside of Panyig there in the background as we watch Hunty following Olds Machines in 4th place, and in fact VT is just there as well, so that's a fight for that final podium spot as Foxy getting close to Panyig, not quite close enough to make the overtake however, as Foxy stays close on the back of Panyig, as Robbo on 6th place, not quite enough to get ahead, although in these corners it's not the easiest to overtake. You can stay as close as you can, but we'll see how well they are able to stay close and see if they can follow each other as Foxy gets a good run on Panyig, but isn't quite enough to get ahead there. Foxy not quite making the move and not quite getting ahead of Panyig as they come onto this back straight now and in toward turn 10. In the slipstream is Foxy on Panyig, but that Supra is fast in a straight line. In fact, there's VT defending against Hunty as Olds Machine gets ahead and Hunty gets ahead, and VT drops down to 5th place there, losing 2 spots, and now down into P5 with Olds Machine running in that top 3. Hunty getting in on Olds Machine, trying to stay close to go up for that podium from the back of the field. It will be interesting to see how high up the order he can go. Will Hunty be able to take P3 away from Olds Machine, or will he be able to hold on for these final 10 laps? We're about to find out as we watch Hunty on the main straight in the slipstream of Olds Machines, but is it close enough? Is it quite close enough for Hunty to get through? No, he's not quite on the slipstream yet. Not quite enough. And so, Hunty following in, he's going to have to wait yet longer to try and get onto P3. Here he goes. Is he going to be close enough? Coming out of turn 3 into turn 4. We've seen some moves happening around this spot into that fourth corner, but will it be here? And now it's not quite for Hunter. So now he's trying to just stay as close as possible to the back of Old Machines with Hunter in P4. So as the gaps start to space out among the drivers, they're going to really start looking to trying to gain as high as they can now with these final 10 laps, and we'll see when in the future few laps we'll be seeing them making their second pit stop, which should take them to the end of this 21 lap feature race, and at the end of this race that will conclude the first round here in Catalonia. Hunter really not close, really not far away from the back of Old's Machine into P3, but not quite close enough. So close yet so far away for Hunter, as he has to wet some more corners before he can make the overtake on Old's Machine for P3. Is it close enough? Not quite into the chicane. It's not the best overtaking spot, but will it be able to make the move into the main straight and into P3 on here? Down the main straight they go. It goes up the hill and it goes down the hill as a descent in toward the first corner. And so you reach the peak, the summit of the main straight as they descend down the hill into the first corner. In fact, Robbo having to defend there now from Foxy for 6th place. He's holding on to that position just now. Is he going to be able to keep holding on as Foxy opts for the outside, and he's committed to that outside? And they go side by side for turn 2. Robbo's still trying to fight back as he has the inside for turn 3 there, and Robbo really desperately wanting to hold that position against Foxy. He is not wanting to give it away anytime soon, and in fact here he goes, and now he's forcing Foxy to try the outside again into turn 4, and Foxy's challenge accepted. Tried to go around the outside, not quite close enough, but he could just about hang it through, and now he's got the inside into the next corner, and what a battle that was for 6th place as the two drivers went side by side for nearly 5 straight corners at the beginning of this lap. And what a battle that was. And Panyig in 8th place now. He's going to look to, as he's just seen them battle like that, he's going to want to try and get up into 7th place ahead of Robbo and see if Robbo can hold on against Panyig. Be interesting to find out. As in the slipstream goes Foxy, but VT, there's Hunty as well in 4th place. Old Machine 3rd. I believe Hunty, who's actually dropped back quite substantially from Old Machine now, and almost into vulnerability from VT in this race. Here we are now on lap 17 as Thomas and Emperor going wheel to wheel at the back of the field, as Thomas looking to try and not finish last, but as is Emperor. So we'll see who can end up beating this one, as Emperor finished at the back of the sprint race. He will not want to finish last 2 races in a row here at Catalonia, but Thomas trying to just hold on. Emperor not quite close enough to go for the move into turn 5, and so manages to hold it there, as Thomas still leading that to GWO there, as M3 guy makes another pit stop, as it will probably be his last one. Meanwhile we've got the 2 Kia Sedan guys not too far away from each other. Will Miller P3, and in fact there's M3 guy. Where will they come out of the race ahead of them? Is Will going to be able to come out ahead of M3 guy? Will Hunty get ahead of M3 guy? We're about to find out. As down the straight there's Emperor getting close to the back of Thomas, and 3 guy on the set of the mediums to go to the end of the race, and he's out the pits in 2nd place. So Hunty takes the lead of this race from the back of the field. A last to first challenge from Hunty, and will he be able to complete it? Well, we're about to find out. M3 guy 2nd. Then he's going to try and hunt down Anthony Hunt, who's got the worst off tyres. He's got softs, but they're a lot more worn than M3 guy's mediums. Will's on the set of mediums as well in P3, in behind M3 guy. In fact, Emperor and Thomas getting awfully close. They head on to the main straight to start their lap 18. Yeah, there we go, lap 18 started for the both of them. Now for 9th place, Emperor going to be close enough to go for the move down the inside into turn 1. Not quite close enough at all, as M3 guy, Emperor holds the position of P10, as Thomas manages to stay just out of reach on the straights, but they're getting very close as we cut to this battle. Up at the front we've got Will Miller on the back of Hunty. In fact, Hunty's lost the position to M3 guys somewhere and all of that. Hunty losing the lead, and now Will darts once to the inside, now goes to the outside, tries to open up a gap in Hunty. It's not quite close enough for Will. He's not managed to successfully open Hunty's defensive up, and so Hunty still sits in second place. But it's this fight in the podium positions now. Will Miller in P3, Hunty in second place. Who will be second at the end of this race? We've not got long to go now in this feature race. Who will it be then, as Will Miller in P3? Is it going to be enough for him to hold that position? Will he be able to gain on Hunty? He's getting close in the slipstream. Is he going to go for it down the inside into turn one? Hunty going very defensive as Olds Machine backs off for a penalty there. Will Miller trying to get around the outside. He's not quite got enough there. He almost looked like he was dying to the inside, but Hunty aggressively defending that inside, making sure he held that position, and Hunty had his doors welded shut on that attempt, blocking Will Miller from making an attempt to get through into second position. Is it going to be close enough though? He's got 3 laps remaining of this feature race. Can Will Miller find his way ahead of Hunty into second place for the race here today? We are about to find out if on these final few laps now, they've been racing hard and it's coming to a close here in Catalonia. Is it going to be quite close enough for Will? No, not yet. In the back of Hunty, pulls to the inside for turn 9, not quite close enough to go for the move there, onto the back straight now, heading into turn 10. Is he going to be able to pull to the outside? He does pull to the outside, does Will, switches to the inside, trying to dummy Hunty there, but Hunty doesn't fall for it, and yet again keeps Will Miller out of that position. And Will Miller is favouring the faked attack to one side before darting across to the other side. Hasn't been able to work on Hunty though. He's not managed to find a hole in Hunty's defensive, and so Hunty being able to hold second place against Will Miller's Audi into the final couple of corners that lead on to the penultimate lap of the race. M3 guy doing an incredible job leading this race, and I believe will be M3 guy's first win if he can win here, and Will Miller in the slipstream of Hunty again. So here we go, on to the penultimate lap. With every second wasted, he's losing an opportunity to get ahead, and Will Miller on the outside fakes dummies to the inside at the last minute, steams down the inside on the brake, and he's gone too deep and into the gravel at turn 1. He just braked far too late in a desperate attempt to go ahead, and Will Miller's lost it, and that's his race completely over, and he's even left out of frustration. That did slow Hunty down enough though for Olds Machine to find his way through, and Emperor and Thomas are still going at it, as at the final chicane they go side by side, and Thomas just edging out ahead now. What is now 8th position. So Thomas in the back got Emperor all over the back of it, but M3 guy leading away. Now Hunty wants to try and retake second from Olds Machine that was gifted that P2 spot, because he was not really looking too close to the back of Hunty or Will, but somehow managed to make it work because Will dived to the inside of Hunty and it wasn't enough for Will to slow it down enough, and that did cause problems for Hunty. So Emperor and Thomas are still going wheel to wheel, hammer and tongue for this 8th position now. As here we go, is it going to be quite close enough? Emperor dropped back a little bit out of turn 3, not quite close enough to go for the move. You're running, like I keep saying, with every second not ahead, making the overtake work, you're running out of opportunities to do so, and Thomas is looking good at holding that 8th place for now. Meanwhile, the fight up at the front as Hunty drops back a little bit off of Olds Machine there, and so Hunty dropped down into 3rd position. With Foxy in P4, it's been a great race from some of these drivers at the front, and Hunty from the back of the field, because he won the sprint, managed to get himself up in 3rd, and it was almost going to be 2nd, but I don't think he's going to be able to get Olds Machine on the final lap of this race. At the back then, how's the battle going on? Thomas still edging out against Emperor and pulling away on the straights, moving around a bit to try and find the best line into the corner whilst defending, and Emperor is opting for the outside, and Emperor trying to get around the outside, and he gets on the acceleration. He's got just better traction out of that corner, and Emperor drives it around his outside there, moving into 8th place. Thomas P9. Is it going to be quite enough for Thomas to fight back? Not quite, as he head onto the final lap now through the chicane for the 2nd to last time in this race. Here we go then, Emperor into 8th. He's gotten ahead of Thomas after a battle that's been going on for the last few laps now, and Thomas but not giving up. in the slipstream. Probably has a better car off of the straights. Here comes Thomas on the main straight now. Is it going to be enough for him to get on the inside into turn 1? He pulls to the inside. He goes to the inside under braking as he slowed down enough to make the move and into 8th place, but he got a bit deep, but he just about manages to make it work. So Thomas into P8 now, and just about making it work. Emperor trying to drive it around the outside though, and around the outside for P9, or P8 sorry, goes Emperor, and back ahead of Thomas Gomez. He's lost the position, but Thomas fighting back again, going to the inside, but not quite enough to get ahead. An M3 guy in the final sector for the final time as the race leader, which is what's important. It's not about where you lead at the end of the first lap, it's where you are at the end of the 21st lap in this race. And at the end of the 21st lap, M3 guy is the leader, and so that means that as he rounds the final corner for the final time on the final lap to win the feature race in Catalonia is M3 guy. Olds Machine P2, Hunty P3 from the back after winning in the sprint, Foxy P4 it looks like, as he comes around the final corner incredibly slow. He's out of fuel. Is that going to put him under pressure? And Panic, I think Foxy might just make it, but it's going to be close. Is Foxy going to cross the line in P4? Yes, he does. Panic 5th. VT comes round in 6th place. 7th for BG Robert 28. Emperor, it looks like, might just at the moment be ahead of Thomas for 8th place. Is he going to be just ahead of Thomas? So Emperor in 8th place this time, and Thomas is the driver bringing up the back of the field. But Will Miller and Mikey not making the finish will be because of DNF from them two. As Thomas comes round to finish the race off, and that's it with Catalonia. We'll see you at Willow Springs. So there is your official championship standings for the Group 3 Season 12 AM after the first round. Hunty taking an early lead with M3 guy, and Rocket Man, or Olds Machine as his PSN name is, in 3rd place. That is the championship standings in AM after the first round. The next video will be up shortly for the 2nd round. We'll see you then.